About a congressperson, a congresswoman that really put it on the line for immigration and for some type of reform. At 24 minutes after the hour, some U.S. banks are continuing their campaign to offer credit cards to illegal aliens. But is an illegal with credit a national security threat? Joining us right now to talk about this is Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn in Nashville, Tennessee, and Juan Hernandez is not going to be here. So, Marsha, could you take both sides? Only kidding. Congresswoman, what have you put out there that would affect all bankings and the issuing of credit cards?
Yes, Brian. What I have is House Resolution 1314, and right now we have over 60 co-sponsors in the House on this piece of legislation. It would close the loophole that the banks have been using to issue credit cards to those that are illegally in the country by changing the documentation that is required to do service with either the federal government or a financial institution in this country. And it's called the Photo Identification Security Act because what this does is to disallow, it would not allow the use of those matricular consular cards.
Right.
And would say explicitly you have to use one of 3 types of photo identification, our most secure forms of identification, in order to do business with either the federal government or with financial institutions in this country.
Now, what are the identification requirements right now? If I was here illegally and I wanted to get a visa, how would I go about it?
Well, what many of the banks are doing, and this is what came to light, is they were saying, okay, if you've got a matricular consular card or if you've got a rent receipt or a utility receipt, come on in and we'll open a checking account for you. And then they were using that checking account to say, okay, we will attach a credit card to it as long as you leave a certain balance,
right,
$100 in there, and get a $500 credit card. But what we've done in our legislation is to say you can accept one of these 3 forms, which is a Social Security number in conjunction with either a state or federal issued photo ID, which can be a driver's license from a state that complies with the Real ID Act and therefore has reciprocity between other states. You can also use either your foreign nation passport or a U.S. passport, and item number 3 would be your USCIS photo ID, which is your green card, your resident alien card, something that we, the U.S. government, have issued and therefore have verified that you are in this country legally.
Well, first off, this seems like a reasonable thing to present. What have the banks' response been? What have the banks' response been?
You know, Brian, it's really interesting. We've not heard from a lot of these big banks that are carrying out this practice. Who we have heard from are our community bankers and our small businesses, and they are really for this. As one of my bankers said to me, you know, I had a couple, they had retired from a local factory, they had worked all their life, they bought a camper, they were going to go camp around the country, found out they needed a credit card, which they had never had, couldn't get one because they were no longer working. And so what this will do is level the playing field.
Right.
It is a fairness issue. It is an issue of security. It closes a loophole that those illegally in this country use to launder money.
Congresswoman Marsha Blackburn, good luck with this, and I hope it really goes forward out of 10.